You're listening to the Station 71 podcast with your hosts, Mario,
Beth,
and Brian.
So today we are missing Kirsten. She's a little under the weather, but we're kind of going to go over a topic that we've been holding off on a little bit so that we could all be here to discuss this. But it's my favorite topic. We're in the middle of the season for it. We got to do it now. We're going to talk Not So Scary Halloween Party. Beth and I have both done it. Brian and Kirsten both haven't. So Beth and I are going to kind of go give a rundown of the whole party and then answer any questions that you guys have, anything that Brian and Kirsten have questions about, and try to hopefully give you guys some insight on my favorite time of the year at Walt Disney World. So does anyone have anything to add on that before we dive into all this information? Because it's a lot.
it's also my favorite time of year. I have gone during Halloween time in general, I've gone to Disney so many times that I almost associate the two things. Although I've only been in Not So Scary twice, I just always seem to end up when all the fall decorations are up, so it's a very nice time of year to be there.
I think the fall decorations are probably the best decorations at Disney too. Those Mickey wreath pumpkins are just awesome. Mm-hmm. So, are you ready to dive into this, Beth? I think you and I have this.
I'm ready.
So, Not So Scary Halloween Party happens select nights through September, October, and November. Tickets start at $75 a night, gets you into the Magic Kingdom at 4 till around 1-ish, I want to say. It's usually about 12, 1-ish. Included in that, you have a bunch of extra features. The first one is the trick-or-treating trails and the fact that you are allowed to wear a costume into the Magic Kingdom, which is the only time of the year that adults are allowed to wear anything not regular clothing. Disney does have some fairly strict guidelines, so nothing offensive, no weapons, no sharp objects, no masks, pretty much anything covering your face. You are allowed to wear wigs, lightsabers, and toy swords and tutus are all okay in Disney's eyes, but nothing can cover your face. Other than that, they're pretty lenient on it. They also do the trick-or-treating trails, like we mentioned before. They're all kind of spread out throughout the park. Each one is located under a big inflatable tube-like thing. How would you really explain that?
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube.
Yeah, they're basically like that. It's like a giant orange tube that's got Mars labeled all around it, or at least it did last year.
It's just a big... imagine a giant glow stick.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. Now, backtrack a little bit. Disclaimer, I didn't go this year. Beth didn't go this year. So a lot of our information may be outdated. We did try to do a little bit of research on this year's party to see what was different, just to kind of give everyone some ideas. But for the most part, it doesn't really change a lot. There are some things like the different food items and stuff that they'll swap in and out, but we'll get to that. But back to the trick-or-treating, there's different locations throughout the park. I actually have a list of them, I believe, maybe. Basically how it works is they give you a bag when you first walk in that has a starter kit inside of it, so you get some extra candy when you first walk in, which could theoretically be the only candy you get all night. Trick-or-treating is optional. Then you walk up to these little orange inflatable tube man things. They reach in the bucket and give you a fistful of candy. They give you a lot of candy, which is awesome. And most of the time, these are places that you're going to walk by anyway. So when we went, we didn't really trick-or-treat a lot. We kind of just walked around the park, did what we wanted to, and if we were near a location, we got some candy. Easy as that.
Same.
And then we ended up, I think we hit 3 of the locations, and our bag was full. So they give you a lot of candy.
Yeah, we did not trick-or-treat a lot either, and we still ended up with way too much candy.
But and it's great because, free food.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much the coverage for the trick-or-treating and costumes. There's not really much more else to say. I know a lot of people, that's a big draw for them. I heard someone once say that, if you're going to really do trick-or-treating, you could probably line the inside of your backpack with, a bag and just dump candy in there all night and like end up with your bag full. So that might be a little helpful tip. But
my thing is, like, when we've done it, it's like we like to kind of go around and just grab, a couple of stations and then like eat it and then not really do it anymore because there's so many good things to eat at the party that I try not to shove my face full of candy before I get a chance to.
Yeah, and let's use that segue to talk about the special desserts because there's a lot of them. Last year, the desserts were way different than the ones that I'm seeing on the website now, so I guess I can run down that and then we can talk about the ones from last year because I'm still thinking about some of them. So it looks like the Main Street Bakery has a Mickey Halloween cupcake, which is mildly uneventful. Plaza Ice Cream Parlor will give you a scoop of ice cream, which is pumpkin flavored. And then there's Pumpkin Cheesecake Dome, which actually sounds pretty good. Liberty Square Sleepy Hollow has a vanilla buttercream chocolate thing, and I really don't know how to explain. It looks like a parfait, but like in a push pop tube. That's how this picture looks.
Perfect description.
That's the only way I can explain it. I'll put a picture in the show notes and I'll send this to you guys. But it's also got a chocolate Jack Skellington on top. So that's pretty cool. There's these, they look like brownies with Haunted Mansion prints on them. So they have like the wallpaper and then the different portraits in the stretching room.
They're so cute.
They are very cute. Aloha Isle has a chocolate tart filled with... Yeah, it's a chocolate tart that I'm not going to try to pronounce anything else on there. There's Storybook Treats has a chocolate tart filled with lemon curd, strawberry, and topped with strawberry mousse. Nothing like on this list really sticks out to me.
There's worms and dirt.
I just passed that.
Yeah, a little chocolate gravestone that says "Boo to You," which is cute.
See, that's the thing that kind of like irks me about this year is like, okay, so last year my favorite thing that they did that was like an exclusive thing, and it wasn't really anything specific to the dessert itself, but do you remember the poison apple mugs that they had those sundaes in? Mm-hmm. That was my favorite thing, like souvenir-wise, that I brought home. And like,
they didn't bring those back?
I don't see it on this list. And I'm going to be really upset if it is, because like it's still sitting in my room. I was actually thinking about taking that to work the other day and leaving it on my desk, but like I don't see it on here.
Yeah, those mugs were super cool. I didn't get one, but I saw a lot of people walking around with them and I was jealous.
I'll post a picture of mine in the show notes because I'm really happy about that. And if anybody sees them this year, let me know because I'll be really upset if they're not there. So we'll just say that there's a lot of different snacks because there's a lot of them, and they're, to me, not really eventful.
Well, I would say that the one that was super eventful to me was the candy corn soft serve. I like specifically went out of my way to get it, and it was so delicious, and I'm so glad I did. But it looks like they brought it back this year, too, so that's good.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that on my list. Maybe I grabbed the wrong one. Maybe these are just the new ones. Yeah, and then there was like a lemonade that was really good last year, too. It was like a strawberry electric lemonade thing. But
with like the worms in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good. So, enough about food. Let's talk about the big selling points for this, for me. The three big exclusives. You have the Hocus Pocus Villain Spelltacular, HalloWishes, and Boo to You. Where do you want to start, Beth? Because I know where I want to start.
I mean, I love all of them, so I don't mind starting anywhere.
Let's start with what I think is the weakest of them, HalloWishes.
Oh, gosh.
HalloWishes is basically just a fireworks show with remixes of villain songs. The only really big thing that I like about it is the fact that it's hosted by the Ghost Host, and there's a lot of like Haunted Mansion-y references in there, which I definitely think it's the weakest of them. My biggest gripe, though, is I like the name. I like that it's a pun on Wishes, but it just really doesn't apply anymore. And I don't think even half of this show holds a torch to the original Wishes, and maybe I'm still just salty about that. But it's okay. I mean, if you see a fireworks show in Disney, this is kind of like the caliber that they had a couple years ago, especially now with like the projection shows and everything. I think it's kind of getting outdated, and I wouldn't be surprised if next year we see a new show.
Sense. I definitely think it would make sense to update it because it's been going on as long as the party itself, right?
I think so.
It's like it was definitely there when I went like to one of the ones I went to was in 2012. So I mean, I know that was only 5 years ago, but it was exactly the same. So I think it's time for an upgrade.
Yeah, and I like I said, I wouldn't be surprised because the technology has changed so much. Like, I mean, I don't really remember them doing anything to the castle besides the fireworks going off. And I don't either. I think now that kind of technology is gone. Like, we're probably never going to see a fireworks show in Disney that's just fireworks themed again.
I would be okay with that if they didn't rely so heavily on the projections.
Yeah, but I also feel like even if we take a step back from projections, look at Illuminations and Magic Fantasmic. Both of those are fireworks shows that don't rely on projections. Well, they have some projections in both of them, but the awe factor of both of them are for different reasons, not just the projections. Yeah. So I feel like even moving past the projections and all that, like there's so much more that Disney does that's better than just a standard fireworks show. But that only plays at 10:15 p.m., so if you're going to catch it, you have to catch that one show, unlike the other offerings that they have, which I guess we can move on to the Spelltacular, or do you want to go to Boo to You? Which one do you want to go for? Because I feel like we're going to split off here.
Spelltacular is my favorite stage show, and Boo to You is my favorite parade.
Which one do you think is better? Because we can go for that last.
Oh, God, that's so hard.
It's like asking you to choose between your favorite children.
They really nailed it with Spelltacular, so I'm going to say that, even though Boo to You is such a good one.
Okay.
It's just like, they nailed it, I think.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with that. But let's talk about Boo to You first, since you want to go that way. Boo to You plays twice, 9:15 and 11:15 p.m. I agree with everything you said about that it's the best parade, hands down. If you're any kind of like specific Disney fan, like Haunted Mansions, Pirates of the Caribbean, even Country Bears, all of that is represented in this parade. And I think that they did a nice job of taking everything in the Magic Kingdom and putting a little Halloween twist on it. Which is what makes this parade awesome. I even would say down to the music, it is probably one of my favorite things that Disney does. That song is so catchy.
Every time I think about the song, it gets stuck in my head.
Yep. And that's such a Disney thing. Like, you think about Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Small World, all of those attractions, if you start to hum the song, it's going to get stuck in your head. And Boo to You, it nails that musically. I don't want to give away too many spoilers. I wrote down some specific floats and stuff that I really like, but I guess, do we want to talk about them just to kind of give people an idea?
I mean, I would just say that if you like any Disney movies, there's gonna be a character that you're interested in the show.
Okay, yeah.
There's so many, and I love that they bring out for the parade characters you never get to see otherwise.
Let's just talk about it, because I feel like at this point, if you want to know about the parade or about anything Booty or Not So Scary, you're going to be listening to this, because that brings up a really good point as well. There's so many specific things. Like I said, Country Bears gets represented in that, so you have like a whole section that's probably dedicated to that little land and that area back there. But you also have a lot of Haunted Mansion stuff. The hitchhiking ghosts are on a float. The grave diggers with the shovels that light the sparks on the ground. Like that's just so awesome. man, I can't even think about this without like just jumbling it all together. But it's just such a good parade, and that's weird because
I just love that they have Pain and Panic from Hercules.
Yes,
because it's like you never see those characters.
Well, and pretty much any villain that you could think of is also in this parade, because you also have that end section with the It's Good to Be Bad part, where they're all like walking around, and like if you want to see villains' characters, not that you're going to get to meet and greet them, this party is the best place to do it, I think. Because you even have like the bowler hat guy from Meet the Robinsons. Like, when do you ever see him in the park? He's in the parade,
right?
So enough
it's like
about...
they went into storage when they were developing the parade, and they're just like, who can we put in?
Yeah.
Everyone.
And it's like, it's crazy to think about how many different things they have in this parade, because it's like, I don't know, it's just hard to believe that Disney has that many things to use that they don't use, and it's all here. But even like the things like the grave diggers, the pirates with the spinning flags and stuff like that, or the ballroom ghosts from the Haunted Mansion are in there too. Like they did a lot to make this parade very Halloween themed. Oh, and another thing, a lot of characters are in costume. That's another thing I forgot about this parade. That's awesome. Like, I think Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, all of them have costumes on their one float, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it's awesome. I love Boo-to-You. I could talk about this for an entire episode, but I won't. I won't keep going. Why don't you talk about the stage show, since this is your favorite?
I didn't know what to expect when I went to this, because I've only been to two Not So Scaries. One was in 2012 and one was last year, so it was extremely different. I mean, other than HalloWishes was the same, and Boo-to-You was pretty much the same, but the stage show is completely different. Back when I went in 2012, it was still a villains stage show. I can't remember what it was called, but it was pretty cool. And the one thing that I do like about the stage show back then that they don't do anymore is that there were like 4 villains that would come down and meet and greet and take pictures afterwards. And it was like, if I'm remembering correctly, Maleficent, the Evil Queen, Lady Tremaine, and Dr. Facilier, which he is my favorite villain. So that was just like made my life. I was like, this is, he's such a rare character. To be able to meet and greet with him was really cool. And it was funny because I was actually dressed as him, as my costume. So it was a really cute picture to have us both in the same hat and colors and stuff. But anyway, Spelltacular, I think that show is, I can't say enough good things about it. Again, it includes Dr. Facilier, who's my favorite. So obviously I have a little bit of a bias, but I really love like the Oogie Boogie segment of it, and just the sisters themselves. The casting is absolutely perfect. I was completely blown away with how perfectly they cast those characters. It was like they stepped out of the movie.
Oh yeah. Opinion. In my notes, I actually put Sanderson sisters spot on. Like it.
Yes.
I would be surprised. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that the one that plays. Oh my gosh, what's the redheaded one's name?
Winnie?
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty sure that she's actually a Beth Midler impersonator. Like, if I remember correctly. So they did a great job with casting on this one.
Yeah, it's just like the appearance and the voices and the mannerisms. It was all, I was just like, these are the characters from Hocus Pocus. Like, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and they really nailed that one. Like, everything about the Halloween party, I'm going to say they nailed it for, because I 100% think this is the best add-on that Disney has. Also, one thing I noticed you didn't say, which caught me off guard the first time I saw it, was that every character that steps out on that stage, for the most part, besides the ones that can't be this way, are face characters. Hades, Jafar, all of those villains that you usually see with those weird big heads are actually out there in costume and makeup. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it makes it more easier to suspend your disbelief when they do face characters.
Goodness, I really like this show. I don't like stage shows a lot. I will say that. So for me to say that I really like this is kind of weird to me. But I think this is easily my favorite one. Just because, like you said, the actors are spot on. The characters are great. Like, everything about this is just so well done that it really just nails it down for me.
Yeah, I would say it's my favorite stage show too, and which is really hard for me to say because I love Fantasmic so much.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It can be your favorite castle stage show too. That way you don't have to pick favorites.
Right. I don't have to label my children.
So this one plays at 8:15, 10:45, and 12 a.m. I know everyone kind of has different strategies to tackle these. For me, it just kind of happened to be we were in the right place at the right time to see all three of them. But I would definitely say try to be close-ish, like in the hub area for HalloWishes and the Spelltacular. And then for Booty, you try to be somewhere near the streets. So you have time to kind of play around with it and plan it. I know a lot of people prefer to see the later parades just because it's less crowded. But you could definitely plan your entire timeline off of that 10:45 Spelltacular, 10:15 Wishes, and then 11:15 p.m. Booty U, and be totally fine. Or even swap the Spelltacular with the 12 a.m. one. That's just my suggestion. What about you? Do you have a planning attack for that, or do you just kind of...
I am very much like a let's wing it kind of person. Like, even for my like day-to-day park going, I used to be the kind of person that would plan it to the, half hour, but as I've gone more and more, I find that it's more fun to be spontaneous, aside from obviously when you make fast passes and stuff. But
side note, since you just said that, fast passes are not available during the Halloween party.
Right.
Want to point that out because I don't want anyone to take our advice and be like, oh, I have to plan. Because I will say these three, I would suggest planning to see all of them. Even if you have to cut out your time for it. But don't try to plan everything down to the T because you cannot make fast passes for the Halloween party.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like a lot of the fun of Not So Scary is running into things.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Happening upon things.
I will definitely agree with that. But my personal thing, I like to plan. Not everything down to the T, but I would specifically plan your times for these three, just so you have a slot allocated for them and you know when you're going to see them so you don't miss them.
Definitely.
I would venture to say that even if you're just going to see Booty and Spelltacular, you want to see it from start to finish.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk characters? Because there is a list of characters.
It's funny that you have this huge list of characters that meet and greet at the Halloween party because I've never done one other than I looked it up in the old stage show. It's called Villains Mix and Mingle.
Okay.
And that's the only meet and greet I've ever done at Not So Scary.
We did a few, and I think next time we go, there's going to be a couple more that I want to do. Just because taking the pictures with the characters is awesome. But one of the big perks about this party is you get to see some exclusive characters, some characters that don't meet a lot, and then different takes on different characters. I know that you have Mickey and Minnie in Halloween costumes. I didn't put that on my list. I believe the Town Theater is still the Talking Mickey, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But then you have Jack and Sally, which are exclusive, Anastasia and Drizella, which I'm pretty sure they meet all the time, so that's not really that exclusive.
Yeah.
All of the 7 Dwarfs, which that's a park exclusive.
That's rare.
Like, they're all in one shot, too, so you get that picture with all 7 of them. You have Rapunzel.
Is Snow White in the shot, too, or is it just the dwarves?
I want to say it's just the dwarves.
Okay.
I've never done it. I walked by it, I think, and there was a really long line. I didn't really even pay much attention to it. But all the pictures I've seen were just the dwarves, not anyone else.
And that's why I haven't done meet and greets at the party, because I feel like it takes so much time out of the party that you could be doing other things.
So,
like, I get, my best friend is like a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan. So one time when he went, he like stood in the line to meet Jack and Sally because he had to, you know. But for me, it's like, I'd rather be riding rides with really low weights or watching a second showing of Spelltacular.
Right. And I would say that out of all of these, the Seven Dwarfs and Jack and Sally are the two longest. They're easily 2-hour waits. They're super long. I would probably not do them, but that's just me. If you're going to do them, pick one of them, do it first. That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
Last time when
I've heard you can start lining up before the party starts too.
Right. Well, with your ticket, you get into the Magic Kingdom at 4, I believe. I think it was 4.
Yeah.
And the last time that we went, we didn't buy a park ticket the day of because we were flying in and our party was the same night. So we flew in, we did some downtown Disney stuff or Disney Springs stuff. And we kind of just hung out for a little bit, went back, got ready, and then went to the party. When we got there, we walked past it was where the Seven Doors were because we went right back towards New Fantasyland. And the line was already there. Like, they had the props and stuff set out for the picture, but the line was already forming and the doors weren't out. And they probably weren't going to be out for another couple hours. So plan for lines if you're going to do either one of those. That's the only thing that I can say. I've never actually met them.
Yeah.
But we also have Rapunzel, which is an exclusive. Queen of Hearts, Alice, Tweedle-Dee, and Tweedle-Dum. That one's an exclusive. I believe the Queen of Hearts, Tweedle-Dee, and Tweedle-Dum, this is the only time that they ever meet, I think. But I'm not 100% sure on that.
I know that Alice meets at Epcot.
I think Alice used to meet at Magic Kingdom, too. And it's been a while since she's been there,
maybe.
But I know she did at one point.
I thought Rapunzel also met at Magic Kingdom.
She does. She's not exclusive. This is just all the characters. She's in Fairy Tale Hall, I think.
Oh yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I know. See, I don't know about the Halloween party, but I know for Christmas, usually in Fairy Tale Hall they'll swap out isn't it 3 princesses in there? I feel really bad not knowing this. I think it's usually
it's 4.
Yeah, I know there's a couple of characters in there, but during Christmas they'll have
it's 2 on one side, 2 on the other.
I think you're right. But usually during the Christmas party they'll have Rapunzel and Flynn Rider and then Cinderella and Prince Charming. I don't think they do that for the Halloween party, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did at the same time. But again, I've never gone back that way, so I don't know. And like I said, I feel like I should know that, but I don't. You also have Pooh, Eeyore, Piglet, and Tigger all in the spot that they normally meet, but they're all in costumes, which that's a really, even if you walk by it, you have to look at it because it's super cute.
Yes, they are super cute.
I almost waited in line for that picture last year, but the line was just way too long. But definitely worth it if you're going to go and do that. We also have Ariel and Prince Eric, which I think Eric is an exclusive meet and greet. Ariel's there all the time.
That sounds right.
Belle and Gaston are there. We said Minnie Mouse, Cinderella, Cruella DeVille, Daisy, Tiana, Elena, Donald, Lotso's an exclusive, Jane and Tarzan, Moana, Jack Sparrow, and then you have Aladdin, Abu, Genie, Jasmine, Jafar. Lots of characters.
Yeah, the one that I do wish I had waited for is Lotso.
Was there a line when you walked by him?
Yes. I was actually riding the People Mover, and I looked over at him, and there was a huge line, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing that.
He was 15 minutes when we met him.
Really?
Yeah, so he was the first meet and greet that we hit. We walked into the party, walked back towards Buzz Lightyear. We may have even rode Buzz Lightyear. And then when we got, we did, because when we got off, it dumped us right to where it was, and there was a cast member, and Lotso was there, and there were 3 people in line, and we walked up to the cast member, and we were like, hey, is he still meeting, or is he going away? And she was like, no, he's still meeting. And there was 4 other people in line, so we just got in line, we met with him, and then I guess after that, a bunch of people got behind us, and the line kind of got bigger.
Yeah, maybe I just hit it at the wrong time.
Funny story about that, actually. To kind of talk about how good Disney security is. After we got in line, because this was still pretty early in our night, there was a family that didn't have park tickets that jumped in line behind us. I guess they didn't get ushered out the same way that everyone else would. And when we got up to the line, because when you go in, you get a little wristband that's got like candy corn and stuff on it. It says not so scary. But when we got up to the front, they must have been like 2 or 3 people behind us. And we were coming out as they were getting up front to the top of the line, and the cast member actually told them they had to leave the line because they weren't in the party. They didn't get like kicked out per se, but they weren't allowed to do anything. Like they weren't even allowed in lines and stuff like that. So, you know, if you're thinking about sneaking in or trying to stay in during the park hours, you're really not going to be able to do anything.
I mean, you could probably watch the parade and the stage shows.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't kick you out first.
Just wear long sleeves.
We're not condoning
I'm not
sneaking
condoning this.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I think when we met Lotso and Belle and Gaston, but the Belle and Gaston line was really long, and the only reason we did it was because my girlfriend wanted the picture with both of them. And you do get the picture with the 2 of them side by side, so that's kind of a nice opportunity to take that, especially since usually Belle and Gaston meet separately.
Right.
Anything else about characters?
I'm just jealous that I haven't gotten to do a meet and greet with Moana, and they added her. Yeah,
I saw that she's new this year, and that's pretty exciting. I feel like she was in Hollywood Studios before, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that probably had... Yeah. And I'm sure that she probably had super long lines, so this is probably going to be a chance to get her at a shorter wait time. Granted, I could be wrong, because Jack and Sally and Seven Dwarfs are 2-hour wait times, but, you know, you never know.
Yeah, I literally considered going to Hollywood Studios just to do the Moana meet and greet, but I just couldn't justify it. It's really sad. I have not been to Hollywood Studios in almost a year, and I've been to Disney World in general like 4 times in the last year.
Right. I mean, there's not much
just
stuff in there.
I just skip it. Yeah.
But back to the party. Really, outside of that, the only thing that we haven't talked about is the fact that the lines are super short. I don't think when we went, we waited more than 15, 20 minutes for a ride, maybe a half hour for something like Seven Dwarfs. But, I mean, we didn't do that, so I know that the wait times weren't super long.
I feel like the longest line is usually Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good thing to talk about, too. So, I know I mentioned this to you because you didn't know it before, but if you go to the party, you have to ride the Haunted Mansion. But ride it during party hours. Don't do it the first thing when you walk in, because that was one of the first things we did, and we actually almost missed this. But they do special lighting effects on the mansion. And they also have characters that come out and meet, which is really, really neat, because that's one of those things that, obviously, it's not super, you know, it's not one of those big things that everyone's going to be like, oh, Haunted Mansion characters. But they'll have characters that'll come out and interact in the queue, and they'll sit there and have conversations with the guests that are waiting, which is awesome, just to add on a little extra thing. Like, good job, Disney.
Yeah, I've meant to both times, Haunted Mansion being my favorite ride, but for one reason or another, it just didn't work out, even though I literally went and did the magic shot in front of Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, and that magic shot's pretty neat.
Didn't get on the ride.
It's so good, and it's actually funny because I've thought about it before. Like, when you go into the Haunted Mansion, if you look at the mansion, there's that bench that's there, and like half of the year they're not doing anything on it. They use that. That's where the characters are most of the time for these like events. So it's really weird to think about that. Like, you know, you pass by that and you're like, why is there just a random bench on the lawn? Well, that's why. So, I mean, that's really it. You could probably go to the party just for shorter wait times too. I know I've had a couple friends that have really done it just for the fact that you can wear costumes and because the times are just super short. So getting in and out of rides that you probably wouldn't be able to do in the 3 hours that you would during normal business hours, you could easily do during the party. I feel like this is easily the best value for a Disney add-on ticket just because of like all of the offerings. Yeah, it's just so good. So
plus, like you said, you get in at 4, so you don't even have to buy a park ticket that day.
Right, and I always tell...
it's less expensive than a park ticket.
But yeah, it's like a fraction of the price. I always tell people that I know that are going during this time, like, do yourself a favor. If you're there on the day of a party, don't buy a ticket that day if you're planning on going into Magic Kingdom, because first of all, it's a waste. You have to leave the Magic Kingdom at 4. You're not going to be able to do anything, like I just said earlier. So going into the Magic Kingdom at 4 and then leaving or hopping to another park, maybe it would be fun for your trip, but do yourself a favor, buy that $75 ticket, do the party, come in at 4, stay till like 1 or 12, whenever they push you out. It's so worth it.
I wonder if they do anything with the Kiss Goodnight that's Halloween related. I'm
not sure. So we ate so much food the last time we were there. And I ended up like not feeling very well towards the end of the night. And we literally watched the last Boo to You and left. So we didn't stay for the full party. But I did end up seeing everything I wanted to. It just happened to be that was when I felt like it was time to leave. And I know there was a ton of stuff going on, and I've heard a couple people say that like you can easily stay in up until and probably past the deadline that Disney gives you to get out. So they probably do.
I'd be interested to find that out. Need to Google it.
If anybody that's listening to this has heard or seen anything with the Kiss Goodnight, let us know, because I would also be interested in knowing that as well. So do you want to take some of Brian, Kirsten, and our one listener question that we got?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Brian, give us your questions first.
Okay, so before I do that, I just want to say I am super excited about this. As long as I've been going to Disney, this is one thing that I have not done there, and it's kind of interesting feeling going into it because I'm usually the one giving people advice or helping other people plan, and I have no idea what I'm doing right now. So it's really cool to be able to ask you guys these questions and kind of be on the other side of it.
It is also very intimidating to think about. Like, there's a lot going on during the Halloween party, so you're not alone. When we first did it, I had no idea where to begin.
Yeah, so, a lot of that is what I'm trying to figure out here, too, because now that y'all have talked about it more, I kind of realized I haven't done anything to prepare for this. So, hopefully, I've got, I guess, two weeks now until I go, a little over 2 weeks, so hopefully by then I'll get it sorted out and y'all can help me. But, yeah. Let's see, so I'll start off with my first question. Do you spend more time at Not So Scary doing the special events or just taking advantage of the fact that the park is relatively empty? Because me personally, I used to be more of a park warrior, and I would just try to go in there and jump on as many rides as I can, and I've kind of moved away from that somewhat, but I still hit the parks harder than I think most people do. And one of the things that's appealing to me looking at Not So Scary is that a lot of these rides are much, much shorter waits. So what do y'all tend to do? I mean, obviously y'all talked about taking advantage of the stuff that is there, but do you also try to hit the rides really hard in between those times, or how do y'all do it?
Well, I usually, like, I'll jump on a few rides, but I really like being in the park when the crowds are so low on any day, but especially during Halloween, and just taking in like the atmosphere. I'm like you kind of said, I used to be more of a park warrior and would do like open to close, and as I've gotten older and gone more, I find that it's much more enjoyable not to take it as hard as I used to. So part of Disney for me, like part of the enjoyment I get is just people watching and like taking in the details. And there are a lot of details to take in. So I typically will go and try to find like magic shots or just like walk around and look at everybody's costumes and definitely catch like the shows and stuff. But, and you know, jump on a couple of rides. But that's how I typically spend my time.
I would tend to agree with that. It's super easy to get yourself run down on the all the offerings that they have. So if you're in the park and you want to do it all, you want to see it all, you want to do everything the party offers, and then all of the normal day stuff, like you're easily going to burn yourself out. So I would say do a little bit of planning, see your must-dos. Like I said earlier, plan your 3 times for your fireworks, Spelltacular and Boo to You, and then hit those, and then just leisurely go across and do what you want to do. There's a lot to look at, but take what's important to you and then do those things, I think, is the easiest advice I can give.
All right. Cool.
Agree.
All right, moving on to the next one. How does HalloWishes compare to the other fireworks show? I know I kind of touched on this. Or as Kirsten phrased it, on a scale of 1 to wishes, how do you rate HalloWishes?
I'd have to give it a 5. It's not awful, but it's not great, I think. Especially when compared to Wishes, because it's literally got wishes in the name. The thing that turns me off about it the most, because I had to go back and listen to the soundtrack before we recorded this, and the soundtrack is just like remixes of villain songs. And I know there are people out there that definitely do like HalloWishes, but it's just not for me, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like it's not a bad fireworks show, but I definitely think they could be doing more with it. Like, I'm a big fan of Halloween in general, and so I like the colors being Halloween-y, like orange and green and purple. But yeah, I would agree with everything that you said. The one tip I will give is make sure you don't sit too close to the castle.
Yeah.
Because you will not see any of it if you do. I made that mistake one time, and I was like, all right, well, I got to see part of it. So, don't sit too close to the castle.
That's a pretty good one.
All right, who is your favorite party-only character to meet?
Lotso. Hands down.
Well, the only one I've done is back in the day with Dr. Facilier, but that was one of my favorite meet and greets of all time because he's my favorite villain and he's so charismatic. It was funny because I was I was dressed as him as my costume when I walked up to do my meet and greet. He's like, "Oh, I've been looking for a shadow woman." I was like, "Stop."
The character interactions are so great, and I really wish that I could do Jack and Sally just because I really do like Nightmare Before Christmas, but the wait times are just so I can't justify it, and I feel like they'd probably be my best meet and greet if I could get to meet and greet them.
For Jack and Sally, I definitely think they would be cool to meet, and I don't know how they could do it better, but Jack.
Oh God, yeah. His alien head,
Yeah. I don't know how to improve it, but there's got to be a way.
They would probably have to turn him into a full, almost fur character to make it better. Or just put someone in makeup.
I think that would definitely take away the appeal for him to not be able to talk, but...
Right.
I don't know, just make it more rounded.
Right.
His head is just shaped so strangely. But they did it as well as they could have, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
All right, moving on. It's a 2-part question, which I know y'all have already touched on the first part, but is it worth it for the price? Which we obviously know the answer to that.
Hands down.
But
Definitely.
at what point would you say that if Disney increases the price to this, at what point is the tipping point where you say this isn't worth it? Like what value would you as a big Disney fan place on this?
That's a really good one. I would say if it exceeded the amount of a normal day Magic Kingdom ticket, I would not be able to justify it. The fact that you get in about halfway through the Magic Kingdom day and you still have from 4 to 7 before the party starts, you get that little taste of the regular day park stuff, and then you have that whole extra time on the end. I think you're basically paying the same amount as a normal, or you're doing the same amount as a normal day guest, but paying less. So I would actually even be okay with paying the same amount as a normal day Magic Kingdom ticket for it.
I would agree with that. I would say the only point it would become not worth it if it were the same price as a park ticket is if they decreased the hours, which obviously would play into what you said. But, I mean, I think the event is great overall. I think it would, if they added, I know at the Christmas party they have, like, other complimentary treats, don't they? Like hot cocoa and cookies and stuff.
They do. They give you hot chocolate and like different kinds of cookies depending on where you go. But that replaces the trick or treating, so you kind of do get that handoff, but it's not the same value, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's cool to go trick or treating, but you know you can go to Walgreens and buy a bag of candy,
right,
for $9 and it would be the same amount. But
I will say, not to kind of spoil it for you, but when we did the Christmas party, the treats that they offered, like for free, were almost generic. So it is kind of a swap off. Like if you were to go to ShopRite and buy those box of cookies from their bakery, it'd probably be the similar ones that they do for Very Merry.
Gotcha. But I think it's a great event, and I would be, like Mario said, I would be willing to pay the price of a Magic Kingdom ticket. Maybe a little more, but not too crazy.
All right. If you could change or add one thing to the Halloween party, what would it be?
Oh, I would probably say meet and greets for the characters in Spelltacular.
That is exactly what I was about to say.
I knew you were going to. I think the party is so well done that it's hard for me to pick something that could be improved upon besides, like you said, Jack's head. But, like, they do so many characters during that stage show. And, like, even if you could meet with the Hocus Pocus characters, like the actresses that do the stage show, they would easily cut down the lines on Jack and Sally and Seven Dwarfs. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they have all those rare characters to begin with, I think it's pretty much in line with that.
Yeah, I would say that and improve HalloWishes.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. They could probably do... My guess is next year, they're going to take something based on Happily Ever After and spin it to be something Halloween-themed. Calling it now. But
yeah, that'd be cool.
I would say that's probably the direction that I see them heading. Because earlier, like I said, there's so much technology out there that Disney already has.
Yeah, just like do some projections with villains.
Or even like, okay, I was thinking about this earlier because, like I said, I listened to the soundtrack for HalloWishes, and I was having moments where I was thinking about it, and they could do like Fantasmic and bring the characters out as they introduce themselves, bring them out on the stage and do like a little mini stage show.
Oh, that would be cool.
Like they could definitely do a lot with HalloWishes.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Disney, take note.
We also forgot that there's dance parties, but
Does anyone really do the dance parties except for little kids?
Yeah,
Legit question, not judging if you do, but all I've ever seen doing dance parties is little kids.
Yeah, and even then, they don't seem to be very popular, even during regular park days.
I've seen videos of like them being super popular, but every time I walk by them, they're dead.
When I did Club Villain, there was a dance floor, and it was extremely popular with the kids, and it was also extremely entertaining. There was literally a girl, like, spinning around on the floor, like, on her side. And I, like, made a comment. I was like, dang, that girl's having a blast. And the people at the table in front of me were like, yeah, that's our kid. I was like, well, she's having fun. But anyway, should we answer some of Kirsten's questions?
Yeah, we can do Kirsten's. Do you want to read hers, Brian?
Yeah, I'll do that. So, let's see. Kirsten's first question is, most importantly, what kind of candy do you get at the trick-or-treat stations? And by this, I'm assuming she wants to make sure there's chocolate there.
There's definitely chocolate.
It's all Mars candy, I believe. If I remember right.
I know that there are like 4, I was reading there were 4 stations that are sponsored this year.
Okay.
And it is Werther's Caramels.
Ooh.
And then they have craisins with chocolate and yogurt covered craisins. Halloween Peeps. And then Dove chocolates.
I am not a fan of Peeps, so count me out for that one.
Yeah. But they also have Snickers, Milky Way, Butterfingers, M&M's, Kit Kats, and allergy-friendly stuff, too.
If I remember from last year, it was a lot of that staple candy, like the Snickers, Milky Way, that kind of stuff. They also had, like, the root beer barrels. The only reason
I didn't get any of those.
They were by Bell and Gaston, and the only reason I know that is because I haven't touched my mug in, like, months after we came back. And I was cleaning out a bunch of stuff in my room, and I moved the mug, and I felt something shake in it, and there were root beer barrels in the bottom of it. And I was like, I need to throw these out. This is disgusting. But yeah, I have heard that they did change some of the candy up this year, and that's pretty neat. Do you know anything about the allergy-friendly stuff? Because I know very little about that.
I do. I did. I looked into it, and there's a different process. You still get the experience of trick-or-treating. So essentially, you go to the allergy-friendly center, which I think you said is Columbia Harbor House?
I believe it was.
Maybe. I think there are a couple, but they'll have them on the maps. But go to one of the allergy-friendly centers first thing, and you'll get a teal trick-or-treat bag, which teal is the food allergy color, apparently. And what you do is you take the bag and you go around to the trick-or-treating stations like you normally would, but you get a token instead. And it looks kind of like a poker chip, and it's teal. And so you just collect these tokens, then you go back to the allergy-friendly center, and then you trade your tokens 1 for 1 with different treats. So the treats that they have, the most recent one that I could find, I think this may be from this year, but they do have some non-food items, which is cool, like a cool idea, like some ornament craft kits. So if you have like a ton of food allergies, at least you still get some sort of treat. They have Smarties. They have some Surf Sweets brand gummies, sour worms, gummy bears, and jelly beans. And they also have Enjoy Life chocolates, which are rice milk, so no dairy. They have also Enjoy Life cookies. It looks like honey graham and double chocolate crunchy cookies. So those are also made with no dairy. So all of these are free of the top 8 food allergens, which are milk, eggs, peanuts, tree nuts, fish, shellfish, wheat, and soy. Not all of them are free of all of those, but there are ones that are free of all of those, and the other ones, have a combination of ones that are allergy friendly for different allergies.
So just to touch on that, I did actually look at the map, and it looks like there is 2 allergy-friendly locations, Town Square Theater and Heritage House. Both of those are labeled as allergy-friendly on the map, so they're easy to find. But I did also, earlier in the week, watch a video on YouTube of someone going through different trick-or-treat locations, and in the Heritage House, I think was the one that they went to, they actually had those little organizer things that you can get at Target that have little drawers, and they were labeled, and they were pulling the treats out of them, so they are separated from each other. So Disney does a really good job with that.
Awesome. And they are, from the pictures I can see, it's like actual, mini bags, like snack packs of stuff. So it's not like you're getting gypped by, doing a 1-for-1 token trade, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty neat.
But yes, Kirsten, tons of chocolate options.
Let's see. And I guess related to that, do adults trick or treat, or is it mainly little kids?
I think it's a mixed
Definitely
bag.
Adults.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag of people. Like, you have the adults that'll do it. I did it at a couple stops.
I did it.
Beth did it. Like, it's really just kind of, they're all over the place, so it's not going to take any time to walk over and get your candy and leave. So I think everyone kind of does it at this point. Plus, you're in the Halloween spirit. Like, who doesn't want to trick or treat?
Yeah, I'm not going to turn down free candy, so.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, her next question is, do you think there's really time to accomplish everything in one party night? Parades, stage shows, meet and greets, candy, etc.?
I think it depends on what you classify everything as. If you're going to do, everything in the Magic Kingdom plus the add-on stuff, no.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say no for both of them, just because of the demand for some of the characters, too.
I would say from a completist standpoint, you definitely wouldn't be able to do everything in one party, but I think that you could do, depending on what your interests are, I think you could do everything you wanted to if you managed your time correctly.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it.
Okay, so for example, say you've got 3 rides you want to go on, and then you want to watch the parade, the fireworks, the stage show, and then maybe do 2 meet and greets and also trick or treat. Y'all think that's completely possible to do?
I would say that's totally possible.
Yeah.
The lines are short enough that you're not going to hit your probably anything above 20 minutes for most rides, maybe 40 minutes for 7 Dwarfs, if that's still as popular as it was last year. But doing the meet and greets, it's going to take up a little bit of time. Depending on how many of them you want to do, that's where the most of your time is going to be spent if you're going to try to do everything. I think if you do the stage show, parade, and the fireworks, you have that chunk of time allotted into your party that you already know you're going to be doing. Everything else is all just dependent on crowds. And since it's a ticketed thing, crowds are a lot level than day-to-day crowds.
All right. All right, next question. What restaurants stay open? How long? And are they crowded?
So I know certain ones are, and certain ones are actually trick-or-treat locations. I know a lot of the quick services are trick-or-treat locations, but I also know that Be Our Guest is open during the party. You can get reservations for Be Our Guest, I want to say, up until about 7 o'clock. But I have very strongly discouraged people from doing that just because of the amount of time that you're going to spend in there, and it's going to eat into the time that you're going to have for the party stuff.
Yeah.
I would actually say if you're planning on, not that this is actually going to answer Kirsten's question at all, but if you're planning on eating any time around the party, do it before 4. Eat a really early dinner somewhere outside of Magic Kingdom, then go to the party.
So I just looked it up, and the table service that are open during the party are Be Our Guest, Cinderella's Royal Table, and Crystal Palace. I'm not sure about
That's not a
quick serve,
lot.
but yeah, but I'm sure they're quick serve. Trying to.
I would say I think Casey's is probably still open. And I know most of the other quick serve, like the counter service ones, are all snack stuff. But I don't know for sure.
I want to say that Pinocchio Village House is.
It's a trick-or-treat location.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking then.
I know it's definitely that, but they might also serve food.
Yeah, I know a lot of the kiosks are open, but I'm not sure as far as the actual quick service.
Okay. Let's see, next one. What attractions stay open? Are the lines short due to everyone doing party-specific activities? And I know what Kirsten is really asking here is, does Country Bear Jamboree stay open? That's the real important question.
So, Country Bear, I'm pretty sure, is open. Most of the rides are open. I want to say 3 or 4 aren't, and they're all trick-or-treat locations. So, PhilharMagic isn't. I know Stitch's Great Escape isn't. And Enchanted Tiki Room isn't, which that's kind of surprising to me. But for the
I have a list here.
Oh, okay, cool. You go ahead then, because I don't know for sure.
So, what it says on here is these are the rides that are open during the party is Astro Orbiter, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, Casey Jr. Splash and Soak Station. I don't know if I'd consider.
Does that ever close?
That counts. Yeah, I don't know, but Country Bear Jamboree is open.
Yes.
Dumbo, Haunted Mansion, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, but the last show is at 10 o'clock, I think. Peter Pan's Flight, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Regal Carousel, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Space Mountain, the Swiss Family Treehouse, the Barnstormer, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Tomorrowland Speedway, the People Mover, and Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid.
Wow, that's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's good. All right. How many people do you see dressed up versus not dressed up?
So, I want to say probably about 50-50.
I would agree.
Maybe even a little more towards the dressed up side. I think it really depends on when you go. I know our party was closer to Halloween, but I also saw pictures from the first party, and no one was dressed up in the first party from this year. So, depending on how close you are to Halloween, I think you'll probably see more people dressed up and more people taking advantage of the trick-or-treating. But if you don't dress up, you're probably not going to feel out of place. If you do dress up, you're probably also not going to feel out of place.
Right. Yeah, I dressed up for one, and I did not dress up for another, and I didn't feel out of place either time.
We dressed up for the one we went to, and I had a blast.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed wearing the costume to the first one that I went to, and I had planned on dressing up for the second one, but I didn't get my stuff together in time.
All right. Well, on that note, what is the craziest or most memorable costume that you've seen?
I'm still going to say that this is the craziest because it's not super crazy, but it still baffles me that people thought that this was a good idea. And it's really not as awful as I'm making it sound. Last year, we went as Carl and Ellie, like the younger versions from the start of the movie. And when we got our costumes together and everything, I was like, oh, everyone's going to have this costume. Like, it's so simple. And it's like an easy couples costume to do. I saw a lot of couples dressed as Russell and Kevin, which is such a weird, like, side-by-side thing to do. I don't know how to explain it, but it was always the boy was Russell, and then the girl was dressed as, like, either a Disney-bound version of Kevin or, like, what you would expect, like, a humanized version of Kevin would look like. Other than that, like, I think Disney does a lot of restrictions on costumes, so nothing's super over the top. I will say, if you're planning on dressing your entire family as the Incredibles, every family in Disney also has the same idea.
Yes, definitely. I can't think of any that particularly stand out that I've seen in person, but I've seen several people do a very good costume of the tightrope walker from Haunted Mansion, and I've always wanted to dress up like that, but it's so detailed, I don't put in the effort. But props to those people.
That's pretty neat.
All right, and last one from Kirsten is, are the lines always insane to meet the Seven Dwarfs, and have you had to wait in this yourself?
No, I haven't, and I know Beth hasn't either, but yes, they are insane all night. I mean...
Yep, deal with it.
Yeah, there's no way to get around that. Like, even if it's an hour, that's still insane for me. But there's no way to get around that meet and greet. The pictures definitely look good, and I've seen, like, the area that they're in. I would say it's probably worth it. If you're going to wait, like, if that's what you do, you love characters, it's worth it to wait for that, but not for me.
Yeah, I would say the same.
All right. Well, we
So
also...
the last one.
Oh.
What was that? Go ahead.
You want to do it? I was just going to read it, but...
Oh, no, I was just going to say we had one listener question from last week, just to prove that we are reading these on the air, from our friend Rachel at Behind the Magic Podcast. She wants to know if the dessert party's worth it. I'm going to ask Brian his opinion on this, too, and I'll read what is entailed in the dessert party, because I haven't done it, and I don't... Have you done it, Beth?
I have not.
Okay, so the dessert package... Let me find where this starts at. It is $47 plus tax for guests 3 to 9, $79 plus tax for guests 10 and older. So it's also on top of your Not So Scary ticket, which would probably bump it around the same price as a park day ticket. It gets you, looks like, access to all of the exclusive treats in a buffet form. And you get exclusive seating for the fireworks. That's generally what they do for these dessert parties. I'm going to say no, just because of the price tag. I don't think I would justify... This is going to sound so harsh, and I'm so sorry. But I don't think I could justify spending $79 to get all of the desserts and sit at what I think is possibly one of the weakest fireworks shows. But that's me. That's my opinion.
I would be interested to find out how much it would cost if you got each dessert individually. Because I feel like it would be almost worth it, like more worth it to do that.
If you're going to try to snack your way through it, yeah, definitely. Because it's also all you can eat, too. Like, it's a buffet.
That's true.
So you could, if, like, you know, you're all gung-ho about those Haunted Mansion brownies, you could step right up and eat 12 of them.
Yeah. I personally would never pay $79 for a dessert party unless it gave you the best view of the best show kind of thing. But and I've never done a dessert party, so I am totally speaking out of ignorance, but every review that I've ever read of dessert parties say that they're not worth it.
Well, so how difficult is it to get a good spot just for HalloWishes in itself?
I want to say it's probably not very hard.
Yeah. I would say maybe it would be worth it for Happily Ever After because you literally have to sit for like an hour and a half or more to get a good spot.
I'm sure they have a dessert party for Happily Ever After, too.
They definitely do, but I'm pretty sure it's significantly more than $79, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
But, you know, if that's like your once-in-a-lifetime trip and you absolutely love the fireworks shows, then I could maybe see someone justifying it like that, but I wouldn't. Not me personally.
What do you think, Brian? If you, as your first trip, and you're looking at this on their website, what would you think about that?
I can pretty much guarantee you that I won't do it. Just for the simple fact that I'm probably not going to eat that many sweets, and if I do, I'm just going to take advantage of the candy and stuff that I'm already getting for free. And the reason I asked about, you know, how difficult it was to get a good view of HalloWishes is that would be the only reason I would really even consider it, is if I didn't think I was going to be able to, you know, get a good view if I didn't get there early and grab a spot, you know, so I wouldn't want to pay a bunch of money if it wasn't really going to get me something special. And if I, you know, I can, like you said, I can go get those desserts just one at a time as I want to throughout the party, I'll probably just do that. I don't from just coming offhand, not being to a party and not seeing what the desserts are and everything, this does not sound like a good deal at all to me.
So to kind of add on to this question, the dessert party starts at 9:15. Fireworks aren't until 10:15, so there's an hour out of your time that is also gone.
Wow, so that definitely, I'll tell you now that I won't do it then because, you know, I want to take advantage of this stuff that's really exclusive to the party that I'm not going to get to do any other time, and this dessert party doesn't really sound like something that's, you know, that's that exclusive. Like y'all were saying, you know, they do it for the other fireworks shows, so if I ever wanted to do that, I could just try it out there. But no, not for this. Not when I'm trying to do all this other stuff that I won't get to do on most days when I go in the park.
Which I did look it up for the Happily Ever After dessert party, and I do want to just correct myself so that nobody gets the wrong idea. It's $59, so it's not more expensive, but take it or leave it. I just wanted to correct myself so that nobody got confused.
You know, at $50, I might be able to swallow that a little bit easier. Not the hour-long time frame, but $50 is a lot better than $70.
I would also say that I would be more willing to pay the price if it were more of like a hors d'oeuvres, like heavy hors d'oeuvres instead of desserts. Because I mean, I love desserts just as much as the next person, but I can't eat more than a few. I could probably eat like maybe 3 or 4 of the desserts before I would get sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
So I would be more interested if it were like well-themed Halloween snacks instead of strictly desserts and cheese.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. So is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? Any questions anyone's got before we tie this thing up?
I do want to say that I would highly recommend, I know I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I just want to stress, I would highly recommend taking advantage of the magic shots with especially if you have Memory Maker or an annual pass holder, like you are, Brian, because they have some really cool ones, and especially if you don't look them up beforehand and you just kind of go around looking for PhotoPass photographers, it's really cool when they pop up on your PhotoPass app or like section of My Disney Experience, because you kind of don't know what to expect and it's like a little surprise.
Okay, cool.
But anything else?
Nope, I can't recommend it enough. So if you have a chance to go and you can fit it in your budget, definitely take the time to check it out.
That's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to leave an iTunes review, subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to follow us along on all our adventures, we're on Facebook at facebook.com/Station71pod. We're on Twitter at Station71pod, Instagram at Station71podcast, and you can send us your listener questions that we'll read on the show at Station71podcast@gmail.com.